I feel like it. Well, actually, I'm not sure about the Venno now. I feel like previously, before 7.30, Venno, it was nice for the laning stage, but then after that, you just dropped off like a sack of potatoes. Whereas now, considering the Poison Nova does a percentage of your max
Vici
HP every
Gaming's
second,
turn
you're
to
basically
pitch.
guaranteeing at level 12 that you're doing like, I think it's 27% max HP plus the extra damage on top of that, plus you can still talent into stuff beyond it. So I feel like Venno is a much more popular pick that I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen so far throughout the entire I League.
Yeah, definitely hear that. Maybe still need some experimentation from a lot of these teams. You know, potentially as well for the boys on Vici Gaming, the fact that they're back with PYW's Keeper of the Light. This was banned out in game one, and they've had incredible success on it. So you know, maybe with the Coddle power, they can tie up the series here and then force our first game 3 potentially of the day.
Potentially. I mean, if there's any team that can do it other than Aster themselves, it's probably Vici, right? And, they've got such talented players across the board. For me, the big difference there was it felt like PYW and DY weren't able to have a game just because of facing into a like, and you always had something to worry about. If it wasn't just being run at, it was having a pesky wolf on top of you, interrupting the blink dagger on the Earthshaker. There were still some great echo slams that were able to,
Vici Gaming's turn
for
to
a brief
pitch.
moment, pull the game back in their favor. But nothing near to the extent of what we might normally see. And I mean, this is a lot of
Vici
right-click threat
Gaming's
coming out now
turn
from
to
Vici.
bat.
Eventually, they do go the bat. I like it.
I don't like the pick from Vici. But that's picking...
What don't you like?
Okay, so the
Radiant's
biggest counter,
Vici
one of the
Gaming's
biggest
turn
ways to
ban.
deal with Templar Assassin is Batrider. The lane is more of the heavy counter, but then you also pick someone who's also heavily countered by the Batrider and the Troll. Like, it's probably top 3 worst heroes to play into for a Troll Warlord. So now they have 2 of their cores that get dismantled by the Batrider, and then you now follow it up with, I mean, the Ogre's great to enable your TA and Troll, don't get me wrong, like bloodlusting these 2 heroes is exactly what you want, but still with Aster.Aries, but the potential to go for this Batrider answer, you know, maybe if they went for an Abaddon or an Oracle there instead of the Ogre, then it might put the Batrider picker, it might not be as valuable then to go for it. But now, like, Batrider is...
I'd say the Oracle in particular, right? Like, if they were always set on doing a Troll Warlord, I feel like this TA and Troll can do plenty of damage on their own. And you just really need to, A, survive on the Troll Warlord, of course, with that False Promise. Combine it together with a Battle Trance, you just have so much lifesteal that you're going to be able to be fighting fit. But even just against a Batrider, right? You just toss Fate's Edict onto someone, and Batrider does next to nothing. So I like the fact that Aster.Aries have removed the Legion Commander from the pool. It felt like they needed some kind of dispel. The Omni Knight's already gone, so I mean, what's left? Are they just going to go for like a position 3 Abaddon or something like that? I mean, we saw Liquid run Boxy playing the TA in the off lane. Didn't work out too well for them, but they
what did he itemize?
they still did it. He just played it like a normal TA would, and then they didn't have an offlaner that did offlaner things, starting team fights, creating space, being a frontliner.
Which is
So
what
they
they
essentially
need.
had 3 people farming. Yeah, exactly. Well, a Tidehunter is that, but yeah, it's everything else about it. And the other good thing about this is that you still haven't exactly revealed how the lanes are going either, right? Like, this Sand King could very much still be a mid laner.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, he definitely can against a TA. I mean, it's very flexible in Aster.Aries. You can even see the Void Spirit be played as a 1, which is something like you were speaking about Liquid there. They like to do that pretty often.
It's a lot of magic damage into a Tide. Honestly, wouldn't surprise me to see if that's the way that they go about it. It might be different players playing it. They might put Phoenix into the safe lane, for example, considering he is a great Void Spirit player, but I think that's the way that I might be looking to change this around. You do need someone that's able to scale, though. That's the big thing that they're lacking right now.
Yeah, they need physical damage. My suggestion was Morph, but is very split and doesn't... I don't think you have to care about TA. I think your heroes already answer the refraction, so you can go for a hero that can deal with the Tide and Troll.
I want a Leshrac or I want a DP. Some kind of tower damage,
because they do need
kind of physical damage.
Okay.
Both of them are good at getting through the TA's refraction
Yeah.
charges. You can get a silence off.
Luna,
It's a
choose
Luna
your
instead.
hero.
It's okay, but it's just like where. So it's a 4 Sand King. Running this Phoenix. I mean, hold on. It is an Ori TA. I just feel
That's
like Astra have made these lanes much more difficult than they need to. Unless they are just, doing like I said, changing the lanes up, and it is still just going to be Phoenix playing in the off lane, perhaps.
that is a really cool Luna pick though, because it gives you hybrid damage and it gives you a way to kind of kill the tide in the lane. Like their constant spam with Thunderstrike and the Lucent Beam means that Old 11 has to go for an immense amount of regen to keep himself in that lane. Coddle's not the greatest pairing with the Gush minus armor, not like a Mirana or like a Hoodwink, so we're not going to see as much value out of that. But another big factor is like, look at how reliant Aster.Aries on getting the jump. Like Void Spirit needs the information to find the target he wants to jump. Same with the Sand King, same with the Bat Rider. And then you even have to highlight the glimpse factor. Like you really want Vision to go from a kill into another kill. And Luna having this nighttime vision advantage in the Luna Blessing will definitely enable them to go from one pick off to the next. So I like how they're kind of synergizing with the whole lineup on this last pick.
Sure, and of course the Bat Rider as well. He's going to be in there on the front lines. It feels like, again, Aster.Aries have so many ways to start team fights, and they don't need to be full-on committal. Firefly can catch out a target on their own. You don't even need to use the lasso. Blink stun. You can blink into them, stun away, get towards your team a little bit closer. And then, of course, following up with the likes of a Void Spirit. When they're running away, you can get the glimpse back with the Disruptor. I like Aster.Aries draft again.
Yeah, I do a lot as well. I mean, we'll see how it can change.
I don't want Phoenix to be in the mid lane, though. That's my big issue. I really hope that they switch things up. He was the one that placed down that Observer Ward in the mid lane. They're both queuing up a bottle, so it's not completely revealed, but I mean, the fact that Batrider's gone for a magic stick leads me to believe that he does not want to be close to this TA because she does not use a lot of spells.
Posturing aggressively on the triangle. He's got some heroes nearby to give him some assistance, but unfortunately Radiant have already done too much damage in him. He's too far gone here on Old 11. But they might turn back to kill off Baku. That early level in the meld from Ori will give him a kill as well in the position too.
Who ended up getting the kill? It was Ulu, so perfectly happy with that. Able to scale quite nicely. Although TA getting the return kill hurts your chances a little bit in that mid lane, especially if, I mean, they're just sticking with this Void Spirit mid. I feel like, I don't want to say it would have been a clean victory, but it would have jumped my prediction probability for Aster.Aries by at least 10 or 15% if this was a Batrider mid instead.
The nice thing at least is that this top lane should go really well for Aster.Aries. I will say, however, I have not been very impressed with Batrider since his laning stage, and I feel like, did this hero not get his laning stage buff? Like, what am I missing? Am I misreading like the sticky napalm change and the lash and the Firefly? Because I thought his laning stage would be a lot better than what we've seen previously.
Yeah, it is. I mean, not being able to Firefly quite as often, but when you do at the super early levels, you're dealing more damage. So, in my eyes, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Maybe just the fact that you're going into this Dispel meta, like with Omni Knights being a lot more frequently picked up, Oracle's starting to make a bit of a resurgence, but there's none of them in this game, so I feel like he should be having a totally fine time in lane.
Looks like though Baku already looking to try and pull the creep wave, so they block the small, block the hard. Just wants to deny a full wave of experience away from the Troll Warlord, and meanwhile down bot here. So the double range on Vici Gaming. I really am intrigued to see how this kind of chip damage harass is going to come into play here in this lane. You kind of have to avoid Old 11.
Commitment.
Beam's on cooldown, unfortunately. Now Siamese Cat, he's gone way too far. He can pop a Fairy Fire, but without the stick charges, he will fall. So this is another thing, actually, that I completely forgot. They nerfed the Lucent Beam cooldown to 9 seconds now, so I haven't personally seen this. We've really not seen the Luna much at all, so I wonder how this will actually affect the lane.
Yeah, I mean, you're still going to use it to reliably secure range creeps, but the harass is obviously going to be the big downside to that one. So There's nothing else that a Luna uses mana on, so having your only mana utility spell be having a cooldown reduction is quite significant.
Meanwhile, looks like Phoenix is doing relatively well for the mid wave. The difference between these two heroes is that the TA, of course, I mean, we've seen her for such a long time, but she's someone who's going to put a lot of emphasis on shoving out the lane and farming these stacks. And, you know, compared to the Void Spirit, he wants to hit that level 6 and really get aggressive in some of these side lanes.
I do really like as well from, was this PYW's? No, DY's Sentry Ward right next to the Ancient Camp. They know they want to be stacking it up. They've got a great hero to be able to do it with the Keeper of the Light. And the first blood gank attempt came from that area, so they thought that this probably...
Whoa, that was a big Illuminate's burst. And our Siamese cat should be okay. I don't think he'll die to this charge up of the Illuminate.
I'm grateful to you.
But yeah, I mean, the preemptive sentry, I like it. Just in case, you know, you want with a TA to be able to secure that early game for yourself.
We saw through like the first couple of days of the groups that a lot of these teams were putting heavy amount of emphasis on blocking up the small camp, but again, from either mid laners, they have both of this available. And wait, Bat's got 6 last. I'm missing something, man. Like just Bat these past couple of days has not been getting a lot out of the early levels.
I mean, his range is still pretty terrible, right? And you're running into an ogre and a troll. You've got the Sand King, of course, to be able to help you with the Burrow Strike, but... Oh, there's another kill attempt being made on the bot side. PYW, he's fallen a little bit low here, but he's tanking up and Illuminate again.
Self-play PYW, nicely done. Okay, he's able to get back out to safety. And... yeah, I love this build from Old 11, the Ring of Health next. Not the full burst, just the chip damage. Oh my god, Ulu. Okay, this lane's going a lot better than I thought. Huh.
Diving Ulu a little bit here. He's forced to kite him out a little bit. Any regen left?
Dude. This is atrocious right now. They have no regen at all. I mean, Disruptor's not going to get his courier.
Yeah, just with how Old 11's parking himself, right?
Like, what is... They've incredibly outperformed that bottom lane than what I was expecting, and Batrider is getting dismantled top as well.
Yep.
Maybe now with the burrow to set up.
Now.
Oh. Caster's Curse, although, can they bounce back Poyoyo? And they can with the Flame Break. Beautifully done. DY still falling pretty low as well. With the mischance coming into play. Burrow, do they want to dive from Baku? Now he's going to go in. He'll get the kill. It'll, however, cost him his life.
You gotta finish your food. Ends up costing Baku his life, but he'd used the majority of his mana, so I think he doesn't super mind not giving up any experience and getting the free trip back to base. Might even actually allow him to come to this bottom side if they go for another super deep dive attempt in onto Ulu. Never know.
Thanks.
Yeah, you can see he's holding the TP for a little bit there, but after the dive doesn't happen, they can see that they've got the creep wave pulled a little bit, although Ulu, now he's getting dived, now that the Sand King's showing on the top side.
He might actually turn to kill a PYW though. There's a couple of extra levels in the beam helping out. Siamese Cat's still going to be cautious, and unfortunately, a glimpse away, a couple more right clicks. It's not enough. He does have the creeps to tank up the tower if Old 11 is ballsy enough to go for this dive, and recognizing that is too difficult of a task.
And he has to go much more into this brawling style as well, right? Is that... No, he's just got the casual Ring of Health for now, just to enable to sustain in lane. I was like, has he already got a hood coming out to him? That would have been kind of nuts, but it's the 2 points in the Lucent Beam for now on Ulu. All lanes going well for Vici Gaming when, you know, bottom side definitely outperforming expectations with Old 11 and PYW, but mid and top, I mean, I think Aster.Aries have just done that to themselves. They could have very easily put this Batrider in the mid lane.
Still, the Void is getting a little bit more out of it than I was also thinking too. And I think how he keeps up with the TA's net worth is all off the back of getting these kills in the side lanes. Like, this is a nice thing that Dire have to to get the kills down bot, you kind of have to dive deep under the tower, and the creepy equilibrium won't be in your position because Tide and Coddle quite often spam out the lane. DY should be fine. So this will then enable like a Void Spirit to TP down and then penalize how aggressive they're playing.
Yeah, I'm sure you can get a kill onto PYW, but he's not really the one that matters at this stage. As long as he's getting experience, he's doing just fine.
Wait,
and like you
Ori.
mentioned, they're pushing in waves.
He's just farmed that small camp really aggressively. And Aster.Aries,
All heroes
they're able to
needed.
recognize this. They bring all four for the big kill on the Templar Assassin. They know how important this bounty is just to get her off the map and slowly stop her net worth from increasing.
I like this change as well, putting Baku down towards the bottom side. A lot harder for a Tide Hunter to dive this underneath the tower, even though he's only a position 4.
Yeah, now you give a little bit of farm priority to, like, this is a really greedy support pick here from Aster.Aries, but he can defend the tower with relative ease. He's only got 1 point Sandstorm, but gets him some valuable gold and experience. And I mean, they did nerf the Moonglaves, but still, Ulu, he should be able to farm up the jungle at a pretty efficient rate.
And you don't exactly have the best roamers right now on Vici, right? They want to stay in the lanes as much as possible, especially the TA and the Troll. They cannot be moving. Tide Hunter, he wants to dominate the lanes. PYW, he's more focused on farming up stacks right now. Ogre's basically the only one that can make a rotation, and he's not going to kill a Luna on his own.
And do you feel like this could... Like, is it really going to affect Vici Gaming now that they don't have these roaming heroes? Like, it feels like they are definitely okay with stalling this out, considering Troll and TA late game is an incredible menace. But do you feel like just having a more static game could enable Aster.Aries to then get their first early items and then look to take tower off the tower?
I suppose so. I mean, you're always going to have the risk of both towers being committed on. I mean, this is the standard timing, right? Just before the 10-minute mark that teams are looking to kind of get aggressive. But I don't know how much Baku's going to be able to do down here on his own. Even just popping the Sandstorm might cause himself to be resigning himself to death.
Stick TP. They're going to drop the Ravage for this, so they will have no reinforcements there for the Sand King. Meanwhile, the Templar Assassin is farming up a Storm. Is his Dragon Lance completed? Yes, it is. And meanwhile, DY, he's successfully defending the tier 1 top, and in fact, Eddie's taken just a smidge of HP.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I'm liking the decision to go a bit more into the Ignite. You know, he needs to have a lot more presence in these lanes, value point in the Bloodlust as well, and they have no way to dispel off the damage over time.
Now just put Tide in the lane that you're worried about the towers falling to. Very similar to the Sand King role that he was playing just previously down bot. But Radiant themselves still, like, you really want to wait for this boot to travel on the Batrider. The Void Spirit as well, you still yet to make a move before the Yule, so maybe they are also content with just farming up this game.
Sure, I mean, it is a farm style game.
But I think he's just dead. He is okay. This
Ignite is pretty
yeah.
strong, man. 7-second duration, huge slow. The burn damage, like, what is that? 280 damage, hitting onto 2 targets. It's pretty big from a support.
And I really like this itemization from Poyoyo. Recognizing like the TA is going to be more of your farm intensive hero. Let's not go as greedy. China, they really like their Battle Furies, but you know, with the Sun's first item here from Poyoyo, it just allows him to get involved a little bit more earlier on.
Dire's middle tower is under attack. Dire are scanning.
I guess he's just going to build into the S&Y, right? It synergizes really well with the battle trance and everything else along those lines. Unfortunately for him, Trolls don't build a Manta style. You're going to need it against the likes of a Batrider, but you have to wait for that BKB to get that same level of effectiveness.
Yeah, well, any status resistance versus the lasso is incredibly valuable. I mean, it won't affect you versus the Static Storm, which is a bit unfortunate, nor the Eclipse as well, or the Epi, but the main reason definitely feels like the lasso.
Yeah, even just the Napalm, unfortunately, not quite as impactful as you might like.
Yeah, and it's like something everyone has to keep in mind. Like, Satanic is still one of the best late game position 1 items, and I guess position 2 depending on what the hero is, like a Lena for example. And Sanjin Yasha is going to buff up that life steal, so it just feels like it really, you know, pairs and synergizes incredibly well with that late game timing of just being this unkillable hero.
At least for the Batrider, he's been able to pick up his boots of travel. He's been hindered a little bit by the multiple slows coming out from Vici Gaming, and I mean, they've got a lot. Every single hero actually has a slow for the Batrider, so he's going to have a lot harder time until he picks up that BKB.
Now they're just ready to push. Blink Dagger completed on Ori. Instead of going straight into the Deso, they feel like they're at a bit of a spike here with these early itemizations. You know, Yasha, Blink, they're looking to really brute force down these towers now. Okay.
Dire's top tower is under attack. Blessings.
Still though, the Sand King's pretty close to his Blink timing. About to have 2k gold in the bank. Sorry,
I mean, we see a lot of these position 4, even position 3 Sand Kings struggle to have it by the 15-minute mark, and he's looking like picking it up just after 13.
Don't know if, like, they're smoking up right now pre-Blink.
Oh, and they're all connected by the Illuminate pings coming out as well, realizing that, hey, that actually landed onto a few people and only 2 points in the Burrow strike.
This doesn't feel good at all. I mean, they'll glimpse back PYW. They're doing support right now, but they're taking so much damage. Like, look at Baku. He almost died, and they didn't even kill off the Coddle. And now Ori.
It was a somewhat heavy commitment. I mean, he had they're sitting kind of low. He's got the Blink Dagger coming out to him and the Tranquil Boots, so he's actually sitting somewhat healthy. No Static Storm is going to hurt, but no lasso used. Do they have another smoke available? Not yet. They just buy it up now. But by the time it reaches them, it's probably going to be too late to go for that kill attempt.
And meanwhile, across the map, I mean, Luna has been continuing to farm, even making her own double stack at the Heart and the Ancients, but also Order 11 too. He's an incredibly farmed Tidehunter. He's got Hood, Blink Dagger now completed, so now they have this potential big team fight. Ravage into the follow-up damage from TA as Ori's really deep away from the team. They'll drop the Epicenter, which instantly gets rid of the refraction charges. Now Ori's forced to stand his ground and look to man fight before he does die. Almost rips apart the Batrider, and he might actually end up ticking out to the Ignite. And I think he will.
That tower.
Now Order 11, solo Ravage here. Phoenix can get anything off the damage mitigation, and well, that is your Ravage now used.
I mean, it was a big mistake for Ori to be diving that deep. I don't think you're in a position to need to, right? Because sure, you're against a Sand King position 4 that he's maxed out the Sandstorm, so he's actually doing a decent job at farming. But I mean, Tidehunter was at top, farming away and the camp.
They've got the Glimpse Vision to drag it back thanks to the lane ward. If he could just get a range for potentially an ultimate, but I mean, he had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and no reinforcements, even with the Battle Trance, and Ulu picking up the bounty kill for that.
Yeah, I feel like Vici are totally happy with just sitting back and farming, so the fact that a couple of heroes now have been in a really poor position is a bit surprising for me. I just think about it. TA can farm Ancients, Troll can farm jungle, or lanes, and Tide can plant himself in a lane. They've got all of their towers, so rotations can come, and good luck killing a Tidehunter with maxed out Kraken Shell and Hood of Defiance before the reinforcements can get there.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
See, still, I mean, Ravage is such a long cooldown. I was going to say maybe we might see Vici look to smoke up soon, but how long of a cooldown that it is. They're looking, in fact, dive the Batrider.
I think just putting a bit of pressure onto him. He doesn't want him to clear out this creep wave as quickly as he can, just because the tower's already sitting so low, and being able to invade into that Radiant Tri-Camp is important.
They're swinging around, doing a great job on the bat to be able to stack up the sticky napalm. The only issue is the Kraken Shell can instantly purge it off once he gets to the damage threshold. And now Old 11, they've really only tickled the Tide, and they can just turn, slams down the fist on Baku.
What did I just say? Good luck trying to kill a Tidehunter before the reinforcements can get there. and they were just very capable of doing it. Lasso's not
Dire's
useful against the
middle
Chakra
tower is
Magic.
under
He
attack.
got off the Hood of Defiance. They got to commit like full ultimates to be able to kill him, and they just didn't choose to do so. He's so big as well. Look at that with the Bloodlust, and he's going into the BKB as well. He's going to have the size increase from that. Don't think we're going to get to 60 minutes, but can you imagine the Giants ring?
He's a big boy.
Carrying the Blink Dagger as well in his hand.
Ulu
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
got some pretty good vision here on Dire. Ulu's
They did use
very
ultimates, though.
disconnected from the Disruptor, and Siamese Cat will fall. Do they lead this into Roche? They're about 250 gold away from the Deso, unfortunately. They can
They might
probably
get it from
still
this
do
lane.
it. They can definitely
Yeah.
still do it, actually. You get 3 meld charges thanks to the Coddle. As long as
Plus
the TA... Yeah, very true as well. I mean, level 3 Gush, they don't need that.
The Blightstone will do.
This could be very scary now from Aster.Aries, because it still feels like, I mean, Luna's by far not in fighting shape. Your Bat Rider with Boots of Travel 8th Lens, like if you run in and get a lasso, I still feel like you're probably going to eat a ridiculous amount of damage before you drag the lasso target out far enough. And
Dire's top tower is under
if
attack.
Vici at least makes sure their formation is pretty perfect going up against his objectives, then I feel like they should be A-okay.
Sure, but I mean, for mine, this can just be another farming Aegis. You know, like, you can sit back again. Old 11, he's now got Ravage available, sitting on the bottom side. He's just gotten more levels, gotten even tankier, still holding onto the chip vest, building into that BKB for himself, and yeah, all you really need to do is, if I was these supports, I would probably be standing closer to the likes of Poyoyo, considering he doesn't have, excuse me, his BKB just yet. But yeah, you could just leave the tide alone. He'll be just fine.
Phoenix?
You wouldn't Ravage here, would he?
Dire's top tower is under attack.
He doesn't have the big enough balls for it, Old 11. No respect there.
Maybe if it destroyed trees, he might have chosen to do it. But
Dire's top tower has fallen.
unfortunately, he's too thick to fit between the trees.
Would you drop the Ravage? You got the cojones, don't you? No? Oh, well, alright.
I
Disappointing.
do if I could have gone the kill, but
Yeah.
they had no way to get through the trees.
Now even Baku's gonna try and defend the tower. Blink? Okay, just gets away. That was inches
the
away
Ravage
from
time, though.
being able to drop the kill, and well, they'll still be able to do so diving underneath the tier 2 tower there. Vici Gaming.
Is under
They're all
attack.
5 grouped up at the moment, so it will be a free tier 2 tower, and
Radiant's bottom
actually they're
tower
even
is
looking
under
to set up
attack.
on the
He's
top
defending.
tower as well.
Yeah, just keeping that wave pushed out. Why not? Ulu doesn't
Radiant's
have the
bottom
luxury of having a
tower has
BKB
fallen.
or an Aegis to play with, so
Dire's
he's just
middle
gonna have to
tower-
back up
Dire's
towards
middle
Siamese
tower
Cat.
has fallen.
But yeah, it just feels like everything. I don't want to say everything went wrong because their draft, in my eyes, was really good on Aster.Aries. They just didn't play it correctly, at least for how I see it.
How were you really wanting to see Aster play their draft? Actually, me?
Even just bat mid, you know? Bat mid, he didn't get anything done on the top side. You make TA's life a lot harder. There was a point where she was 3,000 gold ahead of her nearest competitor at like the 12-minute mark. Void Spirit didn't have a good time in mid, although he did the best with what he had to work with. And I feel like he would have done just as well. Not like in those DCs. It's give me flashbacks to last game, but I feel like the Void Spirit would have done just as well as he did in mid, and just as well as Bat did at mid on the top side of the map. And you would have slowed down the game a little bit. You would have meant that this farm style that Vici Gaming are going for wouldn't be as effective. And you would have been able to go for a little bit earlier kills in onto these other heroes because, you know, you're against 3 farmers. You need to be going and making aggressive plays on the other side of the map, especially when you've got a Disruptor who doesn't want to be run at, and when you've got a Bat Rider who can use his lasso for kills.
Yeah, well, I mean, with a 6,000 net worth lead, it's looking like a grim state for Aster.Aries because, I mean, still this Luna needs to be playing around the Ancients, and unfortunately for Ulu now, I mean, they still have to go up against another 2 minutes 30 of the of that second life advantage, so they can now just look to try and get the controller around this area. But nonetheless, though,
Radiant's middle tower
should be a
is under
T2 tower
attack.
getting claimed here from Vici. And we'll see what they want to do with their last remaining duration.
Marching the couriers down the mid lane. It'd be big if Ulu's able to deny them here.
Dire's
There we go. That's pretty big. Delays the BKBs a little bit, but you've still got the siege creep. You've still got the desolator. They still don't have the glyph. So what are you going to do to contest against this? Ulu,
Old
he's gonna need
11.
to wait until the very last
He's even
minute.
just going to jump in and drop the Ravage. No messing around. He sees the bat and the disruptor grouped up, and Aura's got the instant follow-up and the damage as well.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
I'm liking the decision to all back up together as a team as well. You can't leave any stragglers. Of course, you're against a disruptor. He can just glimpse people right on back. And, well, you get the value of a buyback being used super early on into the game. It's only on a support, but forces back the Luna as well. So things going from good to better for Vici Gaming right now.
And the comeback potential here is... I mean... if you can get to that stage, Batrider is actually not going blink, so I was going to say they don't have a hard dispel as the game goes on, so maybe this Batrider lasso could enable them to find a potential pickoff on Aster.Aries once they're defending their higher ground, but we haven't just seen them being able to take a full 5-on-5 at the moment, just not at the stage where they feel real comfortable at doing so.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, it's going to need to happen. Like, as soon as this... He's just bloodlusting up one of his illusions forward DY to try and invade the jungle a little bit, but with Phoenix, he's just finished up his Ag Scepter.
Dire's bottom
Luna
tower
disassembled
is
her
under
Dragon
attack.
Lance to build into a BKB.
Dire's structures
She's
are
got another Ogre Axe flying out to her for a little bit more of that team fight sustain. And, of course, Baku, he's just continued to move on forward. I like the Ghost Scepter. You know, you're going to be able
Radiant's
to
top tower
withstand a
is
lot
under
of the
attack.
pressure coming through from the TA and the Troll.
Dire's bottom
But
tower
they're still
has
just
fallen.
running at you. You know, a couple of seconds left on the Aegis. All outer towers removed now. The next fight is going to have to be the one for
Dire's
Aster.Aries.
bottom tower is under attack.
And they do have decent team fight for that regard, but down 9,000 gold, it's really not going to be easy at all. Especially with Ravage up in 30 seconds, but Vici, they'll think twice here. The only issue is that,
Oh, no.
beautifully done. They dropped Epi as well for that.
Well, it's a mental GG for me.
Smoked up on Vici. They're looking to see if they can catch any stragglers, in particular the Luna outside the base. And now this team fight going to get even easier as PYW. And we just see so often this Keeper of the Light is so incredibly farmed. Again, only 2,000 behind his position 3 on Aster.Aries. I mean, you're using the lasso on the Tide. He can just crack and shell it off. Yes, he's away from the team, but... it's an ultimate that's not going to do anything to deal with him.
All right, this time the BKB is going to make its way through to him. And he's also got a Sange built up for himself. Why not? Going into that Heaven's Halberd, making the Luna's life not too good. And I think the Ogre as well has a Medallion of Courage. So you liked minus armor, have some more.
They've already got big issues with their armor regardless of not having a lot of these agility heroes, so...
Where's that Blink Ravager going to come? Old 11. He's looking to position himself. Now, especially that the Dissimulate's been used.
drop
Only
it.
catches on to 2.
Will-O-Wisp. Used very early from PYW, maybe just looking to try and create as much space as possible. Have they haven't killed off the Ignis yet? Like, it's still, look at this
He's
space.
just standing
What-
in it, man. He just doesn't want to reveal himself even for a second outside of that sandstorm, but I'm pretty sure he was being clipped by the sentry anyway.
has fallen.
Glimpse back. Instant BKB from Ori.
All right. One thing finally going their way, but it's going to come at the cost of their
They want to smoke
their
on
Rax in
Radiant.
the mid lane. Yeah. Who are they going
Baku.
to catch? It can't be Old 11 again, though. Yep, they instantly veer off to the side as soon as they see that Tidehunter come into
Radiant
vision.
are
It's got to be
scanning.
someone else. Not one of the supports, not Tidehunter. TA would be number 1, easily.
They're going to
Smoke
smoke up
coming out.
themselves. So
The way they're positioning themselves as well. Like, Old 11 is first. I love it. You always want to be like this. supports towards the front. PYW's at the back as well, so even if he gets caught out, it's him that's going to break it, not one of the more valuable cores in the TA and the Troll who are sitting in the middle of this smoke.
And they've swapped places on the map. Old 11 instantly dropping the Ravage. Ori as well has the damage fall up, and now they can turn to rip apart the Batrider too. Just the health pools on both these heroes getting obliterated, and Vici again just gonna walk it down a lane here. With these kill advantages, they should be able to get more tower damage done.
Yeah. Nothing too much available. Ulu, he's going to TP back. This feels like a bit of a last-ditch attempt here. Oh, they actually were able to hit Old 11. Was they have a... There, they do have the shard available now on Ulu, so provides them with a little bit of more range defense.
DY?
That's one, but it's just an ogre, and you still lost your tier 3 for a buyback.
Old 11 still has BKB. They're just going to rally around the high ground, so Aster.Aries have to be so cautious if they continue to walk up here. Baku, no, we cancelled the Epi.
I think that's fine.
Okay, Old 11 still not wanting to pop the BKB just yet. Is outside the Static Storm range. Ulu's going to push on forward here. The Astral Step of the right clicks from the Luna will finally kill off this tanky Tide. They're looking for more blood though. Phoenix gets the sit up. So Ori has to commit the BKB so he can successfully retreat.
It's a lot used though, and they saw that smoke come out previously, having placed down the Observer Ward inside the base before that happened. So the fact that they were still able to pick up the Tide Hunter is not amazing for Vici Gaming, but they were able to continue farming, which was the important thing. And TA closing on that Daedalus. For Yo-Yo, he's nearly got a Skadi for himself, which is going to be amazing against the likes of the Luna.
Yeah, just the items continuing to be accumulated for Vici Gaming. I mean, it's just struggling still again to see how Aster.Aries can bring this one back into maybe some contention. I mean,
yeah, I mean they finally did take that. I don't even want to call it a team fight, but they had a semi-successful engagement come through. I'm not sure about the Void Spirit's decision to hold on to the Psychic Headband. I'd feel much more comfortable giving that over to the Sank and just giving him that extra little bit of team fight initiation and continuing to hold on to the Grove Bow, because so much of your damage right now is still magic damage based, and they've been... One of the few things that they've succeeded at is getting these BKBs popped pretty early on Vici Gaming's side.
Roshan's up, Vici Gaming. Looking for a smoke as well, trying to connect to Old 11. Radiant have a decent ward in the vicinity, so if a fight does break out here, also nighttime as well, I mean, we'll see how this is able to come into play, but a smoke on smoke. Rosh has fallen at a rapid rate here, so Aster.Aries that they have to make a decision. Old 11 face checks, instantly blinking on the high gun. They're not clumped up at the moment. The Ignis drag them further and further back as Phoenix blocking on top of the backline, but now they got the lasso. Ori is protected through the BKB for a majority of the duration here, but now once it expires, Ulu, he can turn with the help of the Static Storm, but he himself hasn't got the BKB off, and now with the Ravage, clipping the Luna, she'll attempt the magic immunity into the TP out, and will be able to do so successfully, but can they still stick around for Roshan? Poyoyo, fighting conditions, got the BKB, battle trance available as well.
A little low on ultimates right now.
On 11 again, look at that damage just jumping in on Baku.
He has to be careful. Good team play though. Phoenix using the Aether Remnant to secure Luna's TP away when she popped that BKB. Good use of the Hurricane Pike as well. Oh. The Quiver's going to be nice though, in combination with that shard, and yeah, they can catch out
off the support. They need to cut the Tide. The Tide and the Troll is really heroes you don't want to prioritize at the start as instantly. I mean, you drop the Eclipse, but it's answered by a BKB, and now Poyoyo's got his own BKB as well. Ulu still with it on cooldown. The man fight on the Poyoyo Troll is just too much to bear.
It felt a little desperate there on Aries. They knew they had to try and take that fight, considering they'd finally got one where TA wasn't there, and with her only respawning in about 15-20 seconds, they thought, you know, let's try for it, but the turnaround potential way too much with how farmed this Keeper of the Light is.
Siamese cat. No, not the gem. Someone quick, come snatch the gem off me. Oh, they're actually jumping Poyoyo. I don't know how you kill him. He died as well. It's just... Oh, this is such a polar opposite game here from Vici Gaming. Like, it's quite the methodical gameplay, honestly.
Roshan has fallen to the dire. Immortality.
They did all that without even having to use the double damage rune on Ori. He's got the Aegis now, picked up the Agnum Shard too. So they even have a little bit of extra control in the arsenal now as Moon Radiant down 12,000. We're going to have to look for a crafty way for Aster.Aries to try and defend their high ground against his second life from Vici.
It just feels like these supports are going to get one shot by Ori, to be honest. He's holding the quiver, he's got the double damage, Daedalus picked up.
Bit away from the team. But
I think it's... He's so tanky, man. He's not going to die.
They're doing whatever they can, but, I mean, you see Tidus barely gets brought down to a threshold where they can commit.
BKB popped, though. So, they've suddenly... Oh, no, not again, Baku.
Poor life of position
buyback.
4.
He'd used it previously. Yeah, I was about to say, like, now that they used the BKB on the Troll Warlord, they have a small window of opportunity to come back into this as the double damage gets popped on the TA. She's forced to blink on back, but you know, if you were able to get off the blink, lasso, stun, silence combination, you could potentially take out Puyoyo. TA, that's another factor. Old 11, that's another thing altogether, but at least taking out the Troll Warlord could go a long way. So I like his positioning. On the side, trying to get in.
Phoenix just looking to see if he can force some abilities. He used both his charges though, and again, the Ignis just zoning out the backline so they can freely get these objectives, but well, instead of just freely hitting them, they want kills. A jump on the Batrider, an instant 1-2 as he gets obliterated, and well, I mean, now you 4 heroes in Aster.Aries, your last set of barracks left standing. They'll glimpse away the Templar Assassin. Can she get the BKB off before the first life? And she won't be able to, but the body blocks from Old 11. This BKB completely wasted from Ulu, and now with the Skadi slow as well, Puyoyo targeting down the illusions, but Old 11 still drops the Ravage as soon as he gets inside the base. It's a decent epicenter, followed up from Phoenix's damage, but they still haven't gone through the BKB on Ori. And once he gets that protection of the magic immunity, he can target down Phoenix, who forces out his buyback.
This is just death by 1,000 cuts. You know, they're slowly taking more and more of the map, their net worth growing further and further. They're going to be able to catch PYW, but, you know, it's at the expense of a buyback and a full lane of racks taken. So they're not really caring all that much.
I guess now Aster.Aries, do you feel like they're probably looking towards game 3 and seeing what they could work on from this performance?
I think it goes down to just simply the draft. You know, the way that they set up their lanes. Sorry, not the draft, the laning setup. The draft was fine. I just think they needed to change the lanes, which would have allowed them to have a better time in the laning stage, which meant they could have gotten active a minute or two earlier before some of these key items started to get built up on Vici Gaming's side, and well, they just didn't do that. And you know, after a couple of mistakes, you know, Old 11, Ori going a little too deep once or twice, they just fixed it up. They said, you know what, we don't need to fight. Let's just back up, continue to farm, get our items, and there's really nothing that Aster.Aries can do about it. It was kind of helped by the fact that they went on the Tide Hunter in those few attempts when they did try and get aggressive, but still.
Yeah, there's been multiple occasions we've seen where it's costing them as soon as they're jumping Old 11. Like, so many times he's just been ever so survivable. The goons rock up to show some aid, and all of a sudden they just turn it back around. Like, being able to kill this hero off is not easy at all, especially with his itemization, and he's also been getting even better ravages too.
Yeah, they've been pretty on point. Just constantly in a position to bait out. You always feel like you're having maybe a little bit for both teams, you know, both his teammates and the enemy teams. Who they found.
Okay. I thought there might be a follow-up jump from Vici with both the position 1 and 2 on the backline, but they didn't have the greatest wards to scout out and get information of how many Aster heroes were actually there in the vicinity, so they'll lose in the
Old 11 would be difficult to play with and difficult to play against, you know, because he's just this massive risk reward style of player that
Radiant
you
are
never know when he's going to go in super deep. Honestly, even after all the scrims and communication that I'm sure his teamwork's gone through, but the same thing works. If your teammates don't know what you're doing, then the enemies have absolutely no hope.
Radiant, they're smoked up. They'll run into
Decent vision, but they know.
PYW. Ori, can he actually even bring down the Batrider with just 2 right clicks and the side blades? It's not enough, so another pick-off going in favor of the side of Radiant. Now Puyoyo as well is a little bit split away, but Aster.Aries, they've got to be so perfect with their positioning. They can't group up for a multi-hero Ravage. 2 heroes going to get clipped at the moment. Puyoyo finally is locked onto the Luna. The BKB just going to do naught as they have so much physical damage to go through her armor at the moment here. Even a buyback getting forced out. Such a heavy commitment from Aster.Aries, but she can't even rejoin this fight at a quick succession.
No, just goes back to the normal carry reflex, to the jungle, to the farming, but I don't think it's going to be enough. They were only able to take out the Keeper of the Light in that extended engagement when they had the complete vision of the area at the time. So, yeah, not working out for them in an ideal environment. He's going into the Skadi, which, makes sense against this Troll Warlord and the TA, but I feel like you need so much more. Like, you need the Skadi, you need the Butterfly, and you need a Satanic after that, but the way that the rest of the team played just hasn't set up Ulu for success. Like, you honestly can't even fault that much about how he's played, right? Like, there haven't been any fundamental errors as to how Ulu's tried to do it. Maybe the laning stage didn't go as well as it probably could have, but other than that, I thought his movements have been good, his response to how aggressive they were getting in the laning stage, and even his spell casting, right? Trying to make the best of a bad situation.
Yeah, there's still shining spots to be brought up here for the side of Radiant. I mean, it's looking like it's going to go that game 3 distance. Vici Gaming want to make sure they secure this. They've got plenty of time to continue farming, and it looks at this rate they're probably just even going to wait for their next Roshan to respawn. By that time, you have 25 on Ori, you have 25 on Old 11 as well, who's is actually going for the Arcane Blink next item, so even further enabling his cooldown reduction to help out with these Ravages, and he's been getting some pretty phenomenal Ravages too.
Yeah, absolutely. Who actually ended up holding on to the Flicker? I know they gave it over to Ori for a little bit, but I feel like it'd be pretty value on some of these supports, able to get that. Already holding the Aesthetics cap on the Keeper of the Light, which is quite nice, but if you're able to put it on one of those cores, that's actually Puyoyo's holding onto it now. I don't mind it. You can get the Battle Trance off before the BKB, which is always nice.
It's definitely... I'm intrigued to see like what heroes work best with the aesthetic cap. Like, have you theory crafted anything that you feel like would be really nice to hold this new tier 4 item?
I mean, for me, it feels like someone that just wants to be really slippery, right? So any of the spirit heroes it'd be nice on. The Puck, it could be that big thing. We talked about the half-second difference in the phase shift cooldown. Might be one of the reasons, as well as the changed the attack damage talent at level 10 being removed, that kind of taken Puck out of the meta. But
dude, look at Old 11's positioning. He does not give a damn at all.
I'm telling you, it's so hard to play with and against him. I'm sure his teammates like, what the hell are you doing?
Ones have blessed me.
Is Ulu just gonna...
I mean, 2.5-second cooldown on the Lucid Beam and 3-second cooldown on Blink when you take damage, It was keeping him up there until the 4-stars came from the rest of his team.
He's just making the beast a little bit angrier, which I don't know if you honestly want to poke the bear. Like, you still have another game to play against him. That's a scary prospect. So
you're saying Aster should just GG out right now. You're saying that there's no hope.
I'm saying it's looking grim. That's
Didn't take you for a non-believer.
Yeah, there's times you got to detach from things sometimes.
That's feels bad.
Huh? Old 11?
He's got that extra second on the Ravage stun as well.
Dude, look at him.
He doesn't care. His team's nowhere near him.
Like, what? They're going to play on the opposite side. It's kind of cute positioning actually from Aster.Aries, but instantly tied, rejoins the game. And they just obliterate Aster.Aries. Yes, they kill off the troll, but the price, it's too hefty to pay.
And that was without troll using anything as well. Let's remember that.
Yeah,
honestly, maybe even give the ascetic cap to the troll.
What's he got right now? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Flicker. Because you actually need to be able to use the flicker to get the value out of it. And I feel like you're not going to use 50 million different spells onto a Keeper of the Light.
Oh,
you might have the Void Spirit on the back lines against the Keeper of the Light, but then you can just flicker out of the silence and then, you know, maybe get off one of your spells to be able to get away.
Baku, no. Keep running, son. Is he going to get 2 hit, 3 hit maybe? You sure he's still fine? I don't know. Old 11. He really doesn't care about a base. He really doesn't care about a base.
Never in doubt.
Team? Assistance, please. I'm begging right now. I need some help.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And they're gonna need some miracle to come back into this game. Last full set of barracks all Vici were waiting for was that Roshan to be able to finally siege this down and set a closing sequence to our second game.
Getting close to that arcane blink, but not sure if you even need it. You know, he's got the refresher shard picked up on old 11, 3.8 second on the ravage stun. Pretty deadly. Going back to the Titan sliver was the troll warlord, so just wanting that little bit more reliable rather, status resistance, magic resistance, constantly up there, and of course the base attack damage. Nothing to sneeze at.
Okay, so Disruptor Aghanims used to be some pretty game-breaking stuff when we were seeing that a while ago.
I mean, it still is.
So, do you believe then that maybe Aster.Aries can surprise Vici Gaming with this Aghanims and take a team fight and then maybe link that into a longer game where somehow they can get a second team fight?
No.
No? Alright, that was... come on, man. We're hoping. We're hoping for a prayer here. Maybe not. Dude, Bat got obliterated. That's 2 hit at least. He went for the meld hit bash as well on TA. That's like a ridiculous amount. We usually see the refraction, honestly, jump in. Old 11. They just want to force them to tap out. It's 43 minutes in. They're still looking to stand their ground here, but the bashers coming through left, right, and center. A nice defensive 4-staff gets Ulu, but I mean, your fountain doesn't really feel like home at the moment in this game as Vici. They don't care about that, sending 3 heroes deep inside, still no one down on Dire. They tried to snatch up the gem, but instantly answered with the bash. Strike as well, back onto himself because of the Lotus Orb, and surely this has to be finally now all she wrote, and it is. Phoenix, he'll do the work here and call it quits with the G's getting dropped.
Do we give the kill streaks over to the TA? No, the bad manners coming through, making sure they're GG out before they're able to get to that point. But yeah, Vici, they were just given way too much freedom with these heroes that are capable of farming and making a huge impact once they hit their key timings, when realistically it was like I don't want to say a 3-core lineup, but 2.5 on Vici's side versus like 1.5 on Aster.Aries. So if you're going to sit back, relax, and hope that your Luna is going to be able to carry you, you better give her the best game imaginable, and she just got bullied out of that lane. Did not happen, and very comfortable winning for Vici Gaming. I love when I can just say no as well to your answers, because it's just, you know, I could throw all of this analysis and theory crafting at you, but, you know, it gets to the point where it's like, nah, I'm sorry. And we saw the back get, like, killed in half a second.
That was the instant follow-up as well when you said no. It's like we're trying to maybe lead up for the Aghanims to potentially be that X factor, and then off to the side, a couple of seconds later, Bat just gets decimated by TA's damage. And, well, guess what, guys? This hero still looks pretty goddamn broken. Yeah, it doesn't look like they did too much in 7.3 at all, as Aries Templar Assassin goes 15, 3, and 5, and a complete polar opposite performance from Vici Gaming from game 1 to game 2, as now they're going to force a full best of 3 here, going the distance, which Aster.Aries, this is nothing they've ever shied away from, but can they take a all-important series victory? Because currently at the moment, with how they're sitting in the group stage positioning, they do not want to be the only team eliminated with no contention of making it to the playoffs. So this is pretty much a do or die right now for the boys on Aster.Aries, but only time will tell, as when we come back, we'll have our game 3 between Vici Gaming and Aster.Aries.